What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of the long gestating The New Mutants. This film is, of course, directed by Josh Boone. Before we begin, please hit that subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. Hey, if you like this video, cool, hit that like button, as well as commenting below on any video you watch, including this one. So the day has finally arrived. We waited and waited and waited and waited and waited for this movie to come out. It's been like 3 years since this movie officially wrapped production. This movie has gone through so many hands when it comes to studios. This movie is it's a wonderment that it even got released. It really is, because it's a movie that the trailers weren't very good for until the last trailer came out. It has a great cast in it, but it was just a movie that had so many issues. It actually reminds me of stuff like Cabin in the Woods or Trick or Treat, where it's films that have a very distinct aura about them, but just never seem to find the light of day until they just finally release it when it comes out. And the other issue is COVID happened. You know, this movie was supposed to release in April, and COVID-19 happened. And of course, here we are in August, finally releases, and still half the entire nation of the United States cannot watch this movie. There are people in, of course, other countries that can, like Tenet, but over here, you know, we're dealing with hurricanes and firestorms. It's a mess right now. But COVID-19 happened. This movie got put on hold. It finally released, and overall, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It really isn't, but it's not a good movie. It basically follows a bunch of basically young kids, actually a lot of kids who are in actually big TV shows now, or actually have garnered a career. Like Maisie Williams is in this movie from, you know, Game of Thrones. Charlie Heaton is in this movie from, of course, Stranger Things. Anya Taylor-Joy has kind of raised her cred as an actress, and she is, you know, a great actress. And it has just an interesting cast among them. But the problem is, because this movie took so long to come out, they look much older than they do in this movie. It's pretty crazy to watch. But the main story is, this story follows a character. And so this story basically follows a character named Daniel Moonstar, played by Blue Hunt. And she is a girl who lives on the reservation. Everybody on the reservation dies for some unknown circumstances. And she finds herself in this hospital, this place that we see in all the trailers. And she doesn't know why she's there, but she has a group of individuals who have mutant superpowers. And one can become a wolf. One has the ability to, like, I don't know, phase shift or something like that. And then one has the ability to, like, you know, really quickly beat people up and stuff like that. And then we have another character who we have no idea what he does, but we find out that he, you know, has fire abilities. And so we have this doctor who is played by Alice Braga, who plays Dr. Reyes, and she's there to try to help these mutants basically gain their abilities, to kind of use them and kind of keep them under control, because Daniel Moonstar's character has a very interesting ability that she can't, you know, fathom at the moment this movie starts. And so basically it follows the kind of these characters starting to, like, develop off one another. Danielle is having issues with the Anya Taylor-Joy character, and it just shows these characters in this facility, but there's an underlying evil, as we've seen in the trailers, which I'm not going to spoil because I know a lot of people want to see this movie. But when I went into this movie, as most people will, you're kind of on the fence about what you want out of this movie. I want to see a movie that stands on its own, but gives a love letter to the Marvel universe, the X-Men universe that we've come to know and love for the past 20 some years. Dark Phoenix didn't do that. And I'm happy to say that this isn't Dark Phoenix. This actually has an interesting, competent story. It just doesn't deliver on that competent story very well. Anya Taylor-Joy is awful in this movie. She is annoying. She grinds at your brain, because she's just so frustrating to watch, and she's just a mean character. You know, all the characters in this movie. Maisie Williams' character comes off like the nicest character, but then we have, like, the Charlie Heaton character. He's just kind of, you know, a loner, and when his past kind of starts getting revealed, these characters don't really have any substance to them, is the main issue, and their powers aren't that interesting. The idea that this is a horror film really kind of becomes cliched and kind of goofy and over the top and boring. But it still is interesting because of the fact of how long we were waiting for this movie, that it actually was more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. And at the end of the day, it's going to be like a middle of the road, middling type of movie. The revelations that come up are really stupid and cheesy. And because this movie is the last film in this entire X-Men universe, I think that was always going to be Josh Boone's problem with this movie, is because it's 90 minutes long, because it has to do so much in that time frame, it doesn't really feel like a wholly developed movie. but it tries to at least be interesting. It tries to take those horror elements and move them into some very interesting dynamics with the characters. It just doesn't do it very well. It really feels like this movie needed to be a couple hours, needed to be 2 hours and 10 minutes to get these characters some motivation and some interesting dynamics, because they're not very well fleshed out. You know, when you watch them, and there are subplots in this movie, there are things that are put in this movie that really feel ham-fisted and thrown into a movie that just doesn't seem that interested in its characters sometimes. And you know, the Dr. Reyes character is very similar to another character I've seen. This movie actually starts going into the territory of movies that I've seen so many times before, especially another movie that just came out a couple years ago. So overall, the movie is trying its best to be an interesting horror slash superhero film. I think this, you can see these actors, especially the three main characters, are really kind of coming into their own as actors in general, but it just doesn't feel like a movie that is in its perfect representation a great looking film for a film that's set in the X-Men Marvel universe. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't really that great of a film. I had, you know, many issues with where Josh Boone took the characters. I just felt that they were cheesy and over dramatic. I thought the ending to this movie was awful. Very, very boring, but at least it tried, unlike Dark Phoenix, which just feels like it didn't even try. So I keep motioning towards Dark Phoenix, because if you ever want to watch a movie that really takes its source material and just kind of tosses out the window, that is that. Here it feels like the company and the producers maybe gave Josh Boone less of a leash and kind of took over for him a little bit, kind of, you know, with like Rogue One or something like that. So I mean, I'm not saying that's how it worked out, but that's the initiation, the intention I come off with this film. But yeah, just overall, it's not great, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. So. But yeah, that's it. That is gonna be my take on the New Mutants. Could have been worse, but could have been much, much better. So, anyways, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you do decide to see this movie. I know a lot of people are staying away from the theaters, which is the only way to see this movie right now. But if you do see it, let me know what you thought of the movie. But thank you so much. If you like this channel, of course, hit that subscribe button for Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. Hey, if you like this video, cool, hit that like button. If you dislike it, it is what it is. But otherwise, I will see you guys on the next video. Peace out.